Hey everyone, and welcome to part 2 in this Delorean comprehensive brake rebuild series. If you're first joining us, you can click the link in the top right corner. We'll take you to part 1. In the last video, we took advantage of the panel removal to replace the fuel sending unit with a new one from Delorean Go. Tested that one out, made sure everything was operating correctly before we moved on to the master cylinder removal. Disconnecting and cleaning reusable hardware, bluing pins, reassembling everything, cleaning and testing the electrical for the brakes, and then focusing our attention on the front driver's side caliper for removal from the car, disassembling the caliper, removing what was left of the pistons from these brakes. One was seized, cleaning out the calipers, removing any surface rust, and waiting for new parts to arrive. Now they've arrived and we can continue. We'll get rid of the old parts we're about to replace. Here's new ones, and we'll start with the seal. I'll be using some .3 as lubricant for this procedure, first installing that seal directly into the piston, squarely as to not twist it or anything. Just straight into that groove, should fit perfectly. And I don't want to use too much brake fluid, just enough to do the procedure. This is going to be sitting out for a while as I have to do all 4 brakes. I don't want abundance of brake fluid exposed to air and humidity. So here's the new pistons. I'm unwrapping them and they are covered with a protective grease. So I'm going to use some brake cleaner on these to clean them off, shine them up nice and good, make sure there's no dirt on them, and then apply a very thin layer of brake fluid to the outer portion of the piston. I'll seat the piston now squarely into the caliper on top of the seal. Applying even pressure with the thumbs, I push down. I don't want it to go down all the way, just enough, as I still want to get this outer dust cap around the rim, like so, with the lettering pointing upwards. Give it a little tug back and forth to make sure it's seated properly. I push down a little bit more. I put a very thin layer of grease right over here at this lip where the finish had been removed from previous damage from exposure to the elements, so it wouldn't rust any further. That's all I'm doing right here before I put this cap down. The outer lip of the dust seal now folds over into position around the caliper like so. And then this retaining ring goes over the dust cap. There's a groove in the dust cap for which it seats, just like that. And once in, we want to make sure that it's firmly in. We take a visual inspection that it sits around that track. This seal connects fluid between the 2 calipers. I remove the old seal now. A new one is provided with the kit. So I place it in, flat portion of the seal pointing down towards the caliper. I realized I forgot to take off this bleeder valve, so I'm going to unscrew this bleeder valve and clean out the valve and the inside of the caliper where the valve was. I've done so, and now I'm going to put it back in and just snug it down. So I continue on doing the same exact procedure on the other caliper, which was in better condition and it was not seized. However, as I press in the piston, I go way too far. So I'm going to have to use a gentle application of air to raise the piston up ever so slightly back in the correct position. And there it is. And now this caliper is completed. Having carefully cleaned and inspected the mating surfaces, both halves will be joined together like so. The 4 bolts have been cleaned and degreased with a very light application of anti-seize on the bolt as well as the thread. I turn in all 4 bolts by hand now. And now they're going to be snugged to full seat. I bring my torque wrench to around 32 foot-pounds. I'm working from the inside bolts outward. I torque them down. First the insides, then the outsides. And we move on to the pads. I have some new EBC Ultimax 2. These are the red brakes. People identify them by color. And some free stickers. I also have new accompanying hardware. I put a very thin layer of anti-seize on the back of the brake pad. Some people use different stuff. I just always use anti-seize. I'll apply a very thin layer to the shims as well. Paying attention to the shims arrows, I sandwich everything together. I drop it into the caliper like so. And I get ready with my first pin to drive everything through. I support everything from the bottom so they don't all fall through. And I push the pin right through. Make sure that back shim is in place. Slide it through to the other side and that's supported. Grab the next pin and repeat the same process, pushing the pin all the way through. Everything's held together. I'm going to secure this side, the side with the bleeder valve only, pushing the pin through, locking it into place, and then I'm going to flip this caliper around. And I had to reach out to Delorean Go to find out how this anti-chatter spring fit, because this is different than the other ones, but they got back to me immediately and showed me how, so here it is. I'm pulling out this other pin, the one that wasn't secured, and I'm going to lace this in between the brake pads like so. I'm going to compress the spring here so I can fit it in between the pads, just like that, and push the pin through. We want to get the pin back in and hold everything together first. And it was a little bit of trouble for me, so it took me a second. I got my pin back in, and here we go. Now, if I hold it in position, if I pull the spring up, we get a little tension off. I could get it in that little hole in the brake pad, just like that. And now I'm going to repeat the same process. I'm going to pull that up and get it in that little notch in the brake pad. And now it's in. So we take a look, and we can see this is the exact placement for this part. We're good. Now I could put that other pin back in, and we're done. Last for this caliper, I've cleaned up this rigid line, which I'm now going to install. Loose fit, however, until it's on the car. And there we go. Before the caliper is installed, the flexible hoses will be removed. I'm pre-treating these threads, and I'm giving it a turn back and forth, getting things moving. I was able to loosen both of these without too much of a struggle. But between some rust and a wax coating I have in the undercarriage made the removal of this hose very difficult. I did eventually manage to be able to pull it out, and here it is removed from its holder. I found that wax coat beneficial, so I tolerate stuff like this. This bolt can only be removed by soaking, and then pneumatically removing it with a wrench will just bend the bracket. We can see there's already a break that I'm going to have to weld. Here we can see the old hose alongside its new replacement. The far end I've completely taped for contamination, and the near end I've only taped a small section of the hose. On the near end I've applied anti-seize to the flats over here, as well as the first couple of threads. And now I'm going to insert it into its holder. And now it's seated. A bolt kit also came with the hose kit. The tape can now be removed. The lock washer is placed on, followed by the new nut. And then everything is snugged down, not to the point where the bracket starts to bend on the car, just snugged. Now the oil line will be finger turned onto the new hose to full seat, and then that line will be gently snugged down. As I mentioned, this bracket was broken, so I went down to the shop to weld it, cleaned up the affected areas on the wire wheel. I'm going to weld up a bead behind the broken area where it snapped off. You can see the old weld. So I made up a jig here with a vice grip on a stand to hold it into position. By adjusting the vice grip, I get it where I want. And after welding, I blued everything where the finish was removed so it wouldn't rust, and now we're ready to install it back in the car. I'm going to start off by cleaning both sides of the rotor with some brake cleaner. And now that that bracket is fixed, I'm going to actually have to remove that speedometer cable as it's installed through the bracket. The bracket will sit in position like so. I'm removing the tape now from the other side of this cable and applying some anti-seize to the flats of this cable. And also a dab right there at the end of the threads with a protective piece of tape just at the end. I've temporarily re-added the speedometer cable to hold this bracket because the camera's in the way, which I didn't need because I was actually able to fit my hand between the tripod and this bracket to push this cable into this receptacle, and it just seats right in just like that. I'm going to pull that protective tape off. Now I'm going to place that washer on, followed by the nut, and turn it all the way up. You see right at the end it hits the anti-seize, and I'm going to snug it down just as I did to the one on the other side. These two bolts have been cleaned up, degreased, ready to go. And I'm putting on the caliper now, but I have forgotten to remove the rigid line on the caliper as well as the speedometer cable, which would make this installation easier. I figure it out in another minute or so. But when I do, I could very easily run the bolts through the bracket and then the caliper to hold it into place. Speedo cable detached, rigid line detached, and we can see the bolts are in, hand tightened right now in a position. Here's the bottom one is in as well, and everything's looking good. First order of business, I have cleaned, greased, and reconnected the speedometer fitting and snugged it down. Next, I've torqued both of these bolts to around 52 foot-pounds. Everything correctly seated, I will now install the rigid line onto this hose. If everything's seated correctly, the rigid line should hand turn on both sides with no problem, then gently snug down. I make one last look, checking over all my work and make sure I didn't leave anything behind with some simulated forgetfulness shown right here. Looking over all my work, I'm very happy with it. Tire cleaning is not just about aesthetics on a brake job, it's also a diagnostic. It's one of the ways I found out I was having problems with the front brakes, also because it was kind of pulling to the left. Both rims being clean, the driver's side rim had twice as much dust accumulation over time as the passenger side, which prompted me to believe that it was a stuck caliper and not an alignment issue. I put a light application of anti-seize on the mating surface and put the angle drive cap back on, and this wheel's ready. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, just a brake rebuild. So we'll drop the tire back on now, lock everything down, and we'll revisit this wheel again when it's time to bleed the system. So I pack up and move to the passenger side wheel. Wash, rinse, repeat. I'm not going to go through this wheel step by step. We're only going to highlight the interesting bits on this one. First thing worth noting is turning the rotor with the wheel removed. The other one was seized. This one I could flick with my finger, get a couple rotations out of it. The other one required two hands and I was barely able to move it. That's why the car was pulling to the left. Stands to reason this rotor is also in very good condition. The side's also technically less complex because there's no speedometer cable. We only have this brake line. Everything here is now removed. All you see here is a detergent. And on this side, the brake line's hanging a drain. Another completely unscientific test, the rotor bearing test. I flicked them both at the same time. We'll see which one stops first. The driver's side's on the top left corner. And it looks like the driver's side's going to win, if only for a couple seconds. Yep, driver's side wins it. Both are good. I'm going to tear this caliper apart just like I did the other one. This time I pulled off the dust caps instead of shooting them off so we could actually take a look at their condition. And this one seems rather good, a little bit of dry rot, but it definitely wasn't breached. And it shows on the caliper as we take a look at that. This one does show a breach and some rust, particularly on one side, and we'll see that on the caliper. As we look at that caliper, and just on the outer lip, we could see some rust. Remember, these weren't seized. So we're going to push that caliper out. And at first glance, these pistons look quite horrific, actually. Yeah, that's pretty wild. We'll take a closer investigation into this. Look at that. I'm not really sure what to make of this yet. I don't know if that's rubber from the seal or rust or what. This one also looks like a horror show. It has the same indications as the other one with that stripe. Using a brass brush and polishing paste, I've cleaned up sections of these pistons, and you could see they've cleaned up really nice. Those indications weren't exactly damage within the pistons here, so I've left some sections of those lines so we could see them, and they're not in the piston, they're on the piston. We look at the other one, and the same exact thing. I've cleaned up a cross section of this to brand new, so we could see how it was functioning without issue, or without any noticeable issues, because it wasn't damage of the pistons themselves. Either way, they're going to be replaced because I have new ones. Both calipers have been cleaned out. You can see they're like new. I use a protective oil on them till I'm ready to work with them, because I don't know how many days they're going to sit in the garage till I'm ready to continue with the project. But that oil is wiped out before the seal goes in. Then the pistons. Then the dust caps. I put grease around the border. Then the retaining rings. Degreased, cleaned, and prepared the bolts. Assembled everything together and torqued it down. Prepared the pads and shims. Assembled them into the unit. And finally, the anti-chatter spring. The caliper is now ready for installation. I realized later that I put the brake pad pins in backwards. I'll have to flip them around in a later chapter during the bleeding of the brakes. This hose fitting looked like it was in a lot better condition than the driver's side. However, removing it was very difficult. I only started recording once it started to come out of this fitting, but it was quite a task to get this out, and it finally popped out. We could see some rust around the flats here was the cause. I didn't cover any of this in the other wheel, so this is the removal of the hose from this bracket. Bracket's very weak, so I'm going to start with the thread penetrating oil, as I usually do on both sides of this bracket. Let it soak in. As a demonstration, I can't use a wrench on this because all that'll do is actually twist this bracket right here. It's just too weak. It's not going to work. I would recommend using percussion, however, chalking it into a vise and not doing what I just did. Be safe. Use percussion to take this nut off, and it'll come right off without damaging the bracket, like so. Once the nut is broken free, it can be unscrewed, followed by the washer, and can be wiggled out the back, and it's removed from the bracket. The bracket's nasty, so I'm going to wash it up. Now it's cleaned and ready for installation. After applying anti-seize to the flats as well as the first couple threads, very gentle percussion, tightening the new one onto the bracket, not trying to beat the hell out of it, and this is ready. And put a little dust cap on to protect it. And now it's installed back into the car, waiting for the brakes. Torque wrench is set to around 52 foot-pounds, and I have turned the wheel to make this easier. This was not shown in the last wheel, so I'm torquing it down. Each one of these bolts. And this bolt is done. Move on to the next one. And there we go. Now I'm going to put in the rigid line. I put it on the hose side first just to align it. Make sure it's aligned a couple turns. And then into the brake side. And I'm going to start threading it in by hand on the brake side. I don't want to use a tool and cross thread it. But after a couple turns, I know it's safe. So I'm going to turn it in. It's without effort. Now I'll just give it a little tighten down. This side I'm just going to loosen it for a moment so we can see how close the alignment comes. And we can see that it is dead on right here. Just wanted to have a look. And now we're going to turn it up. Should be effortless. And then we're just going to gently snug it down with the wrench. And that should be it for this rigid line. Just like that. Straighten the wheel out now. Prepare to put on the tire. I'm going to put anti-seize on the mating surface over here. Give it a little spin one last time. Make sure nothing is binding. And the wheel's back on. I have cleaned this wheel inside and outside of the rim. Again, I've said not only for cosmetic purposes, but also for diagnostic to measure any dust accumulation as compared to the other wheel in the front. Having checked for any tools left behind, we lower the wheel back down onto the ground. And that's it. This wheel's done. And with that, the front wheels are done. As we end this chapter for the brake rebuild project, you get an interesting perspective when you look at all the parts removed thus far. I just think it's very strange when you look at all this master cylinder and all these parts in the car up until last week. And next chapter will focus on the rear brakes. But until then, I hope you found this video enjoyable, entertaining, and informative. Do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Helps me out a lot when you do. And hit that subscribe button for more videos like this when they come out. When the next video in this series comes out, a link will be posted in the top right corner. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Would you like to reply?